In this video, you're going to get an update on the sculpture I was working on, my reflections on my trip to DC, and the progress on the work that I'm doing to prepare for my exhibition in Birmingham, England. You ready? Hi there. Welcome back. Spring is springing. It was so cold yesterday. It rained all day yesterday, and it was so cold, and I was so miserable. However, this morning I went to the post office and the weather was beautiful. Weather was so clear and beautiful. After my trip to DC, I have been in my studio for the last couple of days. If you remember in my last video, I was struggling with my deadlines and I was trying to complete one more sculpture before diving deep into the work that I want to do for my gallery show in Birmingham, England. I have made a decision to focus on working on that piece that I want to put in the show for the Birmingham Art Fair because time is of the essence, and I think it will be less of a pressure on me to work on that exclusively and then return to the sculpture later after I know that this is finished and ready to go into that show. Then I can return to the sculpture. So that's the plan. It's a beautiful day outside. What a blessing to be alive. During the spring and summer months, and even the fall months, when I have to go down into the basement, into my studio, oh my gosh. Sometimes it's so hard. I cannot tell you how hard it is. Because in the winter season, I struggle with the cold. And so when the weather gets nice, I want to go outside. But my basement studio is where I work. And I hardly have enough sunlight in that studio. But the work needs to get done. So I go in there and I do the work. And sometimes I get lost in the work and forget to come out for fresh air. Today is a beautiful day, and I am going to get to work. I decided to come out for some sunlight, walk up and down a little bit, listen to the birds chirp before I go back inside. And look at the gifts that I got. This surprise visitor squirrel right here is going through my trash and having a party. When I thought that I had scared it away, oh, how wrong I was. It came right back. It came right back to continue with his party. This week, I've really been thinking about my trip to DC and the opportunity to see so much art, so much culture, to just enjoy the outdoors. And when I look at the life that I'm documenting, it doesn't look like a life that belongs to me because I have never looked at my life as something that is interesting. It's just ordinary. I just do the things that everybody does. And I don't see my life as interesting in any significant way. But now that I'm documenting my life through vlogs, and I look back at the videos when I'm editing them, there's something special about looking at oneself, just enjoying nature, just going into a cultural institution and learning about history and engaging with the beauty in the world. And all of this is just because I took a chance and confidently walked into those spaces. Several years back, I believed, just like many people still believe today, that these places, these cultural institutions, these museums, these art spaces were out of limits to me. I would never have imagined myself walking into such spaces just to enjoy the art, to enjoy the cultural exchange. No way. It wasn't for me. However, as I started to pursue art as a career and I began to attend art events, I came to realize that I was mistaken and that many of these art exhibitions, these local art spaces are open to the public for free. Free. You can freely walk into these spaces and enjoy these events. And there are many museums which are free as well. When we went to DC, many of the places that we visited, many of the cultural institutions that we visited, the National Mall, the Textile Museum, and this park here, the Walter Pierce Park, they were all free and open to the public. I mean, anybody can walk into them and enjoy what's in there.
600 burials a year and see peace. Wow. Nearly 60% of the people buried in the cemetery were children younger than 5. Ooh, that is so disturbing.
So this is Washington, D.C. Reconstruction era ancestry on the Walter Pierce Park. Let me zoom out so you can see how long it is. Like there's a whole long panel of, I don't know, almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 panels of lists of ancestors. To be able to sit outside in nature at a park, to read a book, to watch kids play in the park, to be able to go to an arts event and listen to music, enjoy the visual art, is a gift. It's a gift that we all deserve. We all deserve the gift of art. And yet often we deny ourselves of this gift. Even before somebody can step in front of us and gatekeep and say, you are not allowed here. There are places where you are made to feel unworthy of the space. I know. I've been in those places. But there are many other places that you can freely walk into, really freely walk into and enjoy the space. And we all know that this life can be hard. Yeah, there are times when we need a break. We really do need a break sometimes. And these spaces, they are just what we need when those times come around. I've not used a hoop in my embroidery, free motion embroidery before because I've always done it freehand, free motion, no hoops. It is only recently that I started using water soluble embroidery material for sculptural embroidery to make sculptural works that I started using hoops for that. However, today I think I'm going to try using the hoop for this piece that I'm working on because I think it will benefit from having that tension contained in the hoop because I'm not using any material at the bottom to really hold the stitches like I usually do. I usually use felt, and this time I just have a single sheet of embroidery stabilizer in the back, but my stitching is so dense that the stabilizer is not able to contain all the stitches without the fabric puckering and shifting and getting so distorted. So I'm going to try the hoop this time, especially around the lips where I have stitched all around and left the middle, which is a no, not a good thing to do. You want to be stitching from the center out, and I have stitched around in, and so that particular section around the lips is vulnerable to puckering, to the material being distorted. So I'm going to use the hoop to make sure that the fabric around that place is held in place, and my stitching back and forth, the embroidery that I'm doing back and forth, does not distort the fabric. So I'm going to see how that goes. So today's another day. I'm going to work at it and keep working at it until I get to a place that I start to feel like I am making enough progress. And then I will feel a little more at ease. But at this point, I am still feeling a little under pressure because I don't have a lot of time. But I am working at it. most of the time when I'm doing free motion embroidery, I hear a problem before I actually see the problem. Over the years, I've noticed that my hearing has become very acute when I'm sewing. I can hear it before the sewing machine needle breaks. I can hear that something is going to happen before it happens. I can hear that there's something wrong with the thread before it actually breaks. And I just heard something. I stopped the sewing machine, and you can see that the thread has frayed right here. You look at it carefully. Let me see if I can zoom in. You can see the thread has frayed right there, right at this particular place. And I heard it. It's not yet, the thread is not broken yet. It will break in a minute if I continue sewing. But I heard it, which is a strange kind of sense that I have developed over the years. I think it's because when you listen to the sewing machine for a long time, I'm sewing for hours. So when there's a change in the sound of the sewing machine, I pick it up immediately. And so before the thread breaks, the sound of the sewing machine changes and I can hear it. And before a needle breaks, the sound of the sewing machine changes. Although it's going for hours on end and it sounds almost the same to the ordinary ear, if you are sitting in that rhythm for a long time, you can actually hear it when the rhythm changes. So I have done all the side, the under part of the arm. I need to do the side, and there's a little highlight here which would need a different color thread. And then this is similar to this color here. There's a darker shade here that I need to do, but I have made a lot of progress from here all the way there. Is done. So yeah, making progress. Making progress. If I think of how many years I cheated myself out of enjoying the beauty behind some gatekeeper's door, not knowing that all I needed to do was only walk confidently through those doors, and no one could have stopped me. Oh, the beauty I missed, the music I did not hear, the joy I could not share. So, if I have anything at all for you this week, it is to say to you, go out and see art. If you've been feeling the urge to do something different, this is your sign. Go do it. So until next week, create something beautiful and add to the world of beauty so that others may enjoy. I'll see you next week.